The lies about money that we live by. We're going to get into it. Hi, I'm Joe. Welcome back. This is the Ultimate Love Letter. Thank you for joining the conversation. We have been lied to about the way money works. You know, God has promised us repeatedly that when we go and do the very things He's asking us to do, when we follow the love, which is following the passion, which is following the purpose, which is following Him, then He will fund everything that comes next. God says we have everything we need the moment we need it. Think about this moment right now. You have everything you need, don't you? And now I'm not talking about the trip you want to take next week. I'm not talking about the dinner you want to go to tomorrow. I'm not talking about the thing you want to pay in the morning. I'm talking about right now. In this moment, do you not have everything you need? Aha, the answer is yes. Because God says He promises to supply everything we need in the moment of need. When you think about manna that dropped from heaven as the Israelites were fleeing Egypt, they couldn't store up manna. Manna dropped for what they needed that day. And they could not save it because it rotten and grew worms when they try to save it for the next day. God is the same way He operated back then today. He is showing us where we are to rely on Him for everything we need the moment we need it. Now, this is usually how it goes. We usually see our assets, our bank balance, and we think about the trip that God is asking us to take, or we're thinking about the charity that God is asking us to give, or even more so, the charity He's asking us to build. And then we go to our bank account and we say we don't have the resources. No. No. Look a little closer. If God is asking you to build a thing, to go and do a thing, to give a thing, you got the resources right now. You have something right now that is going to absolutely do the thing God is asking you to do. The problem is you're thinking that that savings account is reserved for a rainy day. That savings account is reserved for in case I lose my job next week, in case the economy takes, the college fund for my kids in another 15 years. But what did God say to do today? So often we succumb to the scarcity mindset. It is absolutely scarcity because we are not believing what God says when He says, I'm going to provide everything you need the moment you need it. I know rent is due on the 1st, but I am telling you to give $500 to that charity. I know you got a bill due next week, but I am telling you to go relax with your parents and have a beautiful dinner and you pick up the tab. I know that you have credit cards that are due at the end of the month, but I'm saying to give this percentage to the church. When we move with that belief, knowing that the reserves, God is looking at the reserves that we have to equal what He's asking you to do in this moment. When we look at the savings we have and think, oh, I am to pay, the mortgage with that, I cannot go and do this thing, God, that you're asking me to do. God is saying that is looking at it from a lower level perspective. That money you see it's for rent, but I see it's for my good. That is what God is saying. So if God is saying you use that money to fund this mission, understand He knows the mortgage is due. You fund the mission with the money, the reserves He's made available in this moment, and He will take care of the mortgage when it's due. But most of us have never been taught to live in that form of belief. Or I'll say it how society says it, that form of delusion. But that's exactly how God operates. He operates in the mysterious, in the magical, in the miraculous. God is waiting for our faith to lean on Him completely so that in turn, He will show us how He will show up internally and miraculously. It is time for us to watch God work. If we only trust Him with a little, He can only move a little. But when we become bold enough to test the way God is asking us to, then we will see Him stretch our faith beyond what you felt you are capable of. I am right now in a season of course, uncertainty. I live my life in uncertainty, and all I keep hearing God say is move forward, keep moving forward. And as I'm thinking, God, I know where you're asking me to go, but I don't see how I'm going to be able to accomplish it. And yes, I am still dealing with this every single day. Every single day is a fight against the doubts in our mind. Every single day we have to actually choose that we're going to trust God above what our mind is telling us, above what society is preaching, above the limited beliefs that we've been taught our entire life. Every single day is a choice to be made to trust God. Now, it is important to make sure that we hear God, and we can and we will certainly hear God when we create a space for where we can hear Him. Meditation, spending the first 30 minutes of the morning just with God in stillness and silence, and then going out in your day and watching for the ways that God's communicating on which way we should go. I've been hearing God say completely, you got everything you need right now. I'm not asking you to figure it out. And I hear this message all the time, and every time I just push it a little further, He shows up and proves that it wasn't the time for me to figure it out. And when the moment presents itself, when it's time to figure it out, it is already figured out because I'm heavily relying on God, because I am following God, because I'm not relying on my own strength to figure it out. My strength, I'm out of strength. I'm out here on a limb because God says so. So as I'm traveling right now, and I have plans to go on even after, Asia, I plan to go into Europe. I'm like, okay, God, here we are. It looks like on the surface, my situation hasn't changed. But yet, God operates underneath the surface. Bills that I thought I would just push off, until later, somehow the money has been available for me to pay the bills on time, even when I'm not earning. That somehow is God. That's how. But that's because I'm just simply going and doing the thing that God is asking me to do, remaining in alignment with Him. So then He promises to fund wherever He sends you. He promises to fund the mission. So when we look at our account and we say, no, I can't. You're asking me, God, to take this trip, to book this trip, but I can't spend that money because that money is for my rent next month. God is saying, no. Change the perspective. If I'm telling you, you have what it takes to book this trip to Europe, and you look in your account and you see the funds to book the trip to Europe, you are not to see the funds for anything other than booking the trip. We might see a rent payment with the money that we're saving, but God says, no, I see something else with those resources. And as we move towards doing the exact thing, the exact way God is asking, before you know it, you're going to have the finances available to pay the rent anyway, because God is waiting for our obedience. If we're continuing to do things on our own strength, you know what it's going to look like? You're going to look in your account. You're going to see the $1,000 that you need to pay the rent on the first. And when God is behind the scenes in your ear telling you, no, you're to book that trip to Thailand with that $1,000, but you continuously say, no, God, I need to pay rent on the first. You know what's going to happen? You're going to pay rent on the first. You're never going to see Thailand. And even more so, you're never going to see the way God works. Ever. But what would it look like? Or I'll say it differently. How does it look for the ones who absolutely are brave enough to trust God with the $1,000? That same $1,000 that, yes, you have in savings for the rent, but God says, no. I see that money for the trip to Thailand. And then you actually become brave enough, stepping out in that faith, booking the trip, just like God asked. And while you're on the trip, all of a sudden, rent becomes paid anyway. All of a sudden, something comes through that allows you to pay the rent anyway. All of a sudden, there's a credit. All of a sudden, there's more money in the bank that you thought you spent, but it wasn't. All of a sudden, there's an asset that grew seemingly overnight. All of a sudden, you got another booking, and that was your rent. All of a sudden, you were gifted, and that was your rent. God works it out the moment we need it. God promises that we have all we need the moment we need it, and there has been not a single lie that has been told. Not a single lie. You know, I don't know if I shared this story on a recent episode or not, but I'm going to share it right here. You know, God was reminding me of stories in the Bible. And one he reminded me of, which is one of my favorite, it's about the story of the woman who had the precious oil. And God says, go out and borrow as many empty vessels as you can. And then close your door and pour out the oil. The oil never ceased. Her capacity to receive did. Meaning she filled up every single jar that she had with oil. And then with the last jar, she had no more oil. But that was because she didn't have any more jars. And God was reminding me of this story. He was saying the oil, the flour, the fish, none of it is going to run dry. It's always going to be flowing. It's always going to be coming to you because I am living in you. And so I am drawing these things to you. And so as I landed, it was one of the first meals that I was making here. And I was making something for breakfast and I needed olive oil. And there was only maybe 3 tablespoons of olive oil. And I immediately remember what God said, the oil never runs dry. So I said, okay, God, I used the oil and I reserved just, maybe half a teaspoon, put the container back, but I'm still making more food. I need more oil. So now I'm like pouring it all out, right? Trying to get this jar empty, right? As I thought it was empty and I put the oil down, what happened next is, how the oil kind of just slides down from the top to the bottom, accumulating at the bottom. And guess what? Accumulating even more oil at the bottom. So now I have what looks like another tablespoon of oil. So now I'm like, no, I'm going to pour all of this out to make sure it's empty. So I'm pouring it all out, cooking with the oil. And now I can see, okay, I need more oil in the food than what I physically have in this jar. I opened one drawer and there was kind of like a spray of olive oil. Still olive oil, still oils for cooking, looks different, but still available, and it's full. So plenty of oil to go around. So I used as much olive oil as I needed. Got through breakfast. It was all done. The very next day I woke up, just giddy at God, right? God says, test him. You test him. The moment you test him, you can see that he's going to show up and show out every single time, because that's what he wants us to do. He wants to show us the miraculous. And so he did, right? With just a simple breakfast meal. So the next morning I wake up to make breakfast again. And as I reach for, the spray of olive oil, I look up at the stove, and in plain sight is a whole nother fresh bottle of olive oil right next to the empty jar that I totally overlooked. It was there all along in plain sight. And even though I missed it, right, I didn't see it, the moment I went looking for it someplace else, it was available there too. It was in a different form, but it was very much the same product in different form. But God was saying there was abundance everywhere. And I wouldn't let you miss the abundance. Yeah, you didn't see that you had a full jar next to the empty jar, but the moment you went looking, there was abundance there for you as well. God is always going to give us what we need the moment we need it. If God is asking you to give to that charity, for God's sake, don't hoard that money to pay the credit card bill. Give to the charity. God will take care of the credit card bill. If God is saying to take your girlfriend out for a beautiful dinner on you, but you're saying, I should be saving this for groceries next week. No. Start looking at the resources, what they're intended for. God is saying, I want you to bless her with dinner, and I want to bless you with a meal. Take the resources that are available. Look at them as I'm looking at them, is what God is saying. They are for tonight's outing. Go to dinner with the money. And as you trust me to replenish it, I will take care of the groceries next week. Money has got to go out to come back. Our whole work here is to simply align with God to make sure that we can hear him clearly. When we hear him clearly, we can rest assured the things that he's asking us to give, to offer, to supply others with will be replenished. It's not reckless. It might seem like reckless. Our parents, our friends, society might say, you're in credit card debt. You can't afford to be going out to brunch with the girlfriends. You know what? God told me to do this. You know what? Not only did God tell me to do this, God told me to pick up the track for everyone. God is blessing us in those seasons where it seems like we're alone, where it seems like there will be no way. The truth is, there is always a way. The way is God. So let's start looking at the resources we have, the assets, the money in the bank, and ask God what he intends them to be used for. Life is more about simply paying bills, working in a 9-to-5, and being left on empty. But those that are brave enough to allow the money to circulate for God's goodness, for whatever God is saying we are to be spending the money on, understand that all that we need the moment we need it will be there. You got rent due, you got a car payment due, you have bills that are due at the end of the month, you got a college tuition that you need to pay for. Trust God to cover that. When you trust God for the miraculous, he will show up with the miracles. Now, it's easier said than done. I mean, I totally get it. It is a daily battle with our mind to push against the fear, to push against what we've been taught in our childhood, that money is hard to come by, that we are to scrimp and save and struggle, and we shouldn't be spending money on things that we simply love. when we have credit card debt, when we have bills that are due. You know what? Bills will always be there. God is showing you a way around it, but you're going to have to trust Him with all that you have. I say it like this: God, you take care of the bills, I take care of everything else. Everything you want me to do, everything you want me to give, everything you want me to be, say the word. As long as I hear you clearly, I know I'm good. So when God says, yeah, we just went out to dinner, it's 10 of you, and I choose you to pick up the tab, you don't question it. The money is available. You may be looking at the money a different way for a different reason or a sign for something else. But God is saying your assignment in this moment is covering this dinner for 10 of my children. Allow God to use you like that, and you will see Him move in the most miraculous ways. God says He knows the plans He has for your life, and they are plans to prosper you and not to harm you. For God's sake, believe that truth. You want to live generously? You want to bless your family? You want to build missions and charities? You want to do something powerful? For God's sake, do it. It's time to step into the miracle, because as you do those powerful works that you're dreaming about, God will fund the rest. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of our mastermind. It's you, it's me, it's God. I am asking everyone, if you have a copy of our book, Fake as Vegan, make sure that you go back to Amazon and review it. And if you don't have a copy, please check it out. That's available on Amazon, and it is Fake as Vegan, a book on balance, and it's linked in our show notes. Also, check out our shop, told.shop, which comes with all of our official Turl merch, and everything in our World Treasure shop comes with free shipping to the US, so check that out as well. And lastly, I have included a couple of links if you're being led to bless this mission. I am praying over every single offering. Thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to be of service. Until next time, love yourself and love others. We'll chat again real soon. Bye for now.